into preventing disease as much as curing diseases. We're a therapeutic company, and our focuses are on influenza, norovirus, and we also have coronavirus assets. All these are clinical stage, and we have a very unique drug discovery platform that I'll tell you a little bit more about. This was discovered from the technology that was used from Dr. Roger Kornberg he's one of our founders, he's our chairman, to win his Nobel Prize. And then when he was done getting his prize, he went ahead and started to develop industrializing this platform to create drugs. His idea was to create one pill that would cure multiple diseases. And we've gotten closer to that with our drug called CDI-9088 that just finished a phase 1. We'll talk more about that. That one's for norovirus and coronavirus. So we do have a multi-indication drug that we're working on. So all of these diseases I just brought up, they're multi-billion-dollar markets. Influenza continues to be huge. Even though there are vaccines out there, I have taken the vaccine and I got sick this week. So I'm recovering right now, so excuse me if I sound a little stuffy. Because vaccines, the way they work, they have to predict which strain of the disease is going to be prevalent, and then they can vaccine you for that disease. Whereas therapeutics work a little different. Vaccines, they train the body to attack and stop a disease, whereas therapeutics actually go after the disease and stop the disease. So, and the way we do that is by, I'll get more into it, by attaching it to the actual virus and stopping the replication. All these, again, drug discovery platform. We have a proven development for very broad spectrum drugs. And what that means is you don't just go after one of the influenzas or the noroviruses or coronaviruses. You go after the whole family, very broad spectrum drugs. We have a couple in clinical development right now. And we really spent a lot of time talking with the government, applying with the government. We brought in some contractors to help us because early on we tried to do it ourselves. It's very complicated to work with the government, a lot of paperwork, a lot of bureaucracy. So we've got that team on. We're starting to see some headwinds with that. And we do have a very good team. Not speaking of myself, but the board of directors are all high-level execs in biotech. We have 2 Nobel laureates as part of our team, and we run a very cost-efficient, low-burn rate company. Our clinical assets that we have and our preclinical are all listed here. Right now, we have our norovirus. We just completed a phase 1, and we're starting the phase 1B here in the next couple of months over at Emory University in Georgia is the plan. We have, this is the same drug also, CDI-988. You'll notice the number on the left. It's also for coronaviruses because it's proved to be a very potent drug, and it's also the one, as I mentioned earlier, our founder, Dr. Roger Kornberg, had always hoped to do, to make one drug for multiple targets. So this is a very, very powerful drug. So we've actually completed a phase 1 for both norovirus and coronavirus. Moving on, we've also completed a phase 1 for influenza A, and we also have some preclinical and some influenza A, B, and for rhinoviruses. The way we develop these are to become direct-acting antiviral drugs. And in other words, our drug will bind to the actual virus, and where we bind is crucial, and it's in the replication area of this disease, this virus. And one of the things that we do that's pretty unique is we're able to crystallize the actual virus, and what that means is we're able to make it look like crystallize the virus is like taking a salt crystal, and then we run these high, only certain places in the world have them, X-ray beams through it, sort of like a light going through a crystal, and out comes a atomic level map of the actual virus itself. And then we're able to use that, and we're actually overlaying every family member of the virus and looking for this one area in the replication area of the virus that doesn't mutate. Because viruses, their strength is that they mutate and they also replicate very fast. So by finding one area that's never mutated, no matter which strain, because every mutation is a new strain, a successful mutation, successful in the virus's eyes. And so by finding this one area, we know that that's what's called a highly conserved area, meaning no matter how often it mutates, it never mutates this area because this area is crucial to the replication of this virus. And if it's ever mutated there, it's never been successful in continuing to replicate. So that's where we bind to. And that's sort of like the secret sauce to our technology. And that's how we create potent antiviral broad spectrum drugs. So one of the programs is CDI 988, which is for coronaviruses and norovirus. We completed a phase 1 trial for both of those indications. So what you're able to do, because a phase 1 is basically testing for toxicity, which fails a lot of drugs, and for tolerability, how much can you take? So we give them a whole lot of the drug to see how humans react to it. And we got indications on both. And what we're pursuing now in the phase 2, where you're going for efficacy to make sure it works, to actually cure, we're going to focus on norovirus. Norovirus is a disease that you may have heard of, especially down here in South Florida on cruise ships. You don't hear much about it because they're not going to talk about it, but it's big in the military. And as I had mentioned, we're talking to the government, and we know that this is a huge concern because norovirus is like the Ferrari of viruses. They spread fast. Coronavirus spread fast, but it's like a joke compared to how fast norovirus can spread and the way it can spread. Norovirus can spread by touching this, anything. It's really quick, and that's why it shuts down. In the news, you'll hear cruise ships. And the thing you might not know about norovirus is there's no approved vaccine in the world for this disease. There's no approved therapeutic. So there's nothing out there for norovirus. You've heard of norovirus, you think there's something out there, there's nothing. All they can do is treat the symptoms and wait for you to get better. So this is a huge market, and we're the only one that we're aware of that actually has a drug, and that's already gone through a phase 1, going into a phase 2 this year, 2026. Here is something I already talked about. This really kind of shows the replication process for most viruses. And what we create is a protease inhibitor. This is the point in the replication where we actually bind. And by binding to it, it doesn't allow it to work. It's like putting something over a piece of machine. It just doesn't work, and it stops it from replicating. The Ferrari of viruses. So this virus continues to surge. It's actually been in the news. I mean, if you're looking for it, it's there. It continues to be a problem, and it's a very quick acting drug. I mean, virus. So here it is kind of colored, but it shows our yellow. You'll see the arrow. That's how we bind. When I say we bind, so the yellow part is our drug binding to the virus. And you can see here how there's different strains in norovirus. This is just a sample. We have a lot more strains that we bind to, but it shows you how we bind. And by binding there, that's how you disrupt the, in this particular case, the replication of the virus. If you disrupt the replication, you stop the virus. We completed a phase 1. We had a very good phase 1 trial with very high tolerability. We went from 100 milligrams all the way up to a ridiculous 1,200 milligrams, and we had good safety and tolerability in this drug. So that's a huge one. Toxicity can really be a problem, and so we're very glad we got past that gate. Now we're going on to the phase 2. This is this is all on our website, just a little bit more data if you want to dig in a little bit more. So just our next trial, I don't have it really talking about here, the one we're going into in January. So what we're going to do is we're going to give people, it's called a challenge trial. And that's one of the other parts about norovirus, why there's nothing out there. It's a very hard disease to try to get clinical trials done. So what we're working with the FDA to get done is what's called a challenge model. And the challenge model is where you take healthy people and you give them the virus and then you treat them. So you're actually going to, instead of trying to find sick people in the hospital and set up a place, you're going to actually bring them into the subjects into a hospital, and give them the disease, and then you're going to treat them. But we're not only going to do that, we're also going to do an arm where we're going to give them disease and our treatment at the same time. And what we really want to accomplish here is to not only cure norovirus, but we also want to prevent people from getting norovirus. The idea is, because it moves so quickly, is that if somebody gets sick, let's say I got sick with it, I would take the drug, and then everyone else in this room would take the drug to prevent them from getting sick. Because everyone in here would probably get sick if I had it, because I'm breathing all over. But so the prophylactic side is huge on this, because in our discussions with the military, there is a desire to get something that can cure and prevent norovirus, especially in the Navy. In addition to, they would want to stockpile it and have it on the ship ready to go in case there was an outbreak. So, and they're hitting all kinds of ports, so you just never know where this is going to jump up. We also have a influenza program, which completed a phase 1. Influenza, I'm sure most of you have taken the vaccine and continue to find yourself and friends and family to get sick. As you may know, it's a difficult challenge with vaccines, in that you have to predict what's going to be the prevalent strain, because vaccines, they essentially train the body, like, here's the disease, here's what it looks like. So build up some antibodies, so if it does come in your body, you can fight it. But if another strain comes in your body, it doesn't recognize that, and you get sick. So that's why it continues to be a huge problem. And we have some drugs out there. You've heard of Tamiflu maybe, and the new guy, so Fluza. They have again, that drug resistance profile of these viruses continues to be an issue for these drugs. Tamiflu is so Fluza is having more success. Tamiflu just has a very long history. It's been around for a long time, and all the prevalent strains of influenza that are out there have already worked their way around that. So again, that's why we developed these very broad spectrum, very potent drugs, looking for these areas where you can't get drug resistance, and you can't mutate around the areas that we bind to. That's the theory. We're in clinical trials to prove that theory, but so far everything's been looking good. We've we've also been working with the government. We just received a small grant from them, working on our AB influenza. So they really have seen the results and the potential for this. We've worked with Merck in developing some drugs for this. So we have a lot of experience in influenza. The current drug we're working on, as I said, we developed these for a variety of strains. Here is our drug 42344 that we were in clinical with. This shows all the strains that it's effective against, and those are very the potency on this is very high for all of these strains. So we're not just going after H1N1, in one strain of that. So again, I'm kind of hammering this home that we're making very broad spectrum and potent drugs for these diseases. Another example of the way we bind to this is a little bit different. And what's interesting about this slide is you'll see it, the different strains. You'll see H1N1, H5N1, H7N9. Those are 3 different strains of influenza. What you'll also notice is that right where we're binding, all these numbers are the same. Like 361, 361, 361, a little bit different. 363. They're all the same, because this is an atomic level diagram of how we found a spot that no matter what strain, it's the same. This has not changed. H432 is at the top still. So that's the secret to our success. How we do it is difficult to do. Not worried about that, but I can tell you what we are doing, and that's what we're doing. We're finding this spot on each one of these influenza strains, and we're binding to it. And we believe, since there are no strains that are different, that this is an area that they can't mutate around. If they have mutate, you don't see them because they die. So this is all part of the replication area. This is a highly conserved area, and that's how we develop these drugs. And this is influenza, but we do the same for norovirus and coronaviruses. So again, avian flu is one that's been in the news a lot. More recently, it's not really too big of a problem, but if you want to research a little, you're going to find that it's now moved to cattle, which has never happened before. So now we got avian flu from humans to birds, and now we have it going into cattle. They've had to, put some cattle, terminate them. And in the U.S., I'm not talking somewhere far away. In the U.S., we have found influenza in cattle now, and it's a concern for the future. This same drug, which we have in a pill form, and that's where we've done our clinical progression with, but we've also developed it for a bronchial airway, so that you can deliver it two different ways, either through a pill or your classic inhaler or vaporizer. So what we did is, well, this slide kind of speaks for itself. So you can see what the lungs should look like, a nice 1960s shag carpet kind of vibe there. And so you can see what happens if you don't give our drug versus giving our drug. So we'll just move, speaks for itself. So we obviously feel very confident about this drug, and we just need to get through clinical and convince the FDA to feel the way we feel, which is the path we're on. So again, I had brought up earlier, experienced board of directors, Dr. Roger Kornberg. Interesting thing about him, he won a Nobel Prize, but also his father won a Nobel Prize. So that had to be a tough family to be in. So had to follow up with your dad, but he did it. So Roger's one of the founders. Steve Rubin has worked with Philip Frost. Philip Frost, I hate to throw the word billionaire around, but he's a billionaire, and he's been supporting us since the beginning. Actually, him and Roger are good friends, and Roger came up with the ideas, and Philip financed it. That's how it got started. Another billionaire, we have Fred Hassan, has come in. He's got some cool books out there if you want to read them. And then and the rest of these guys, Dr. Japour and Richard Finnegar, have all been in the biotech industry, which is important because, we do, companies that are small like us, when you get a big deal happening, you really want that experience around. So we have both the science and the business experience on this board. You have Dr. Sam Lee, when Robert mentioned co-CEO. So myself and Sam run the company. I'm in Miami. I take care of everything outside the science. Sam, he's locked in a vault with all his scientists and clinical people over in Seattle, Washington, and that's all he focuses on. We communicate daily, and I think it's a really cool thing where each one of us can focus. He doesn't have to worry about anything other than what he's doing, which is the science and getting these things approved. I take care of all the other problems that come with a company. And we have a very good SAB that's we've had for years. So I always show this slide because of that experience. We know some of these guys were with Cialis when it was developed, and that was initially meant to be a drug to cardiovascular drug. Anyways, it had the side effects became something big, but they were challenged so hard from that blue pill company once they were successful. So the experience of that is, plan for success and patent everything. Everything Sam does, we patent. So, he can't even breathe. It's patented. So just want to make sure everyone knows we protect everything we do. We have some upcoming milestones. As I said, we have a phase 1 starting here in January is the plan. And this is a challenge study. And this is for a disease that has no vaccine, no therapeutic, and a very high need especially with the government, military, and with cruise ships and rehabilitation centers. It's a big deal. So hopefully we're the only ones I know in a clinical trial, and there's nothing out there, and hopefully we'll be successful with that. 42344 is for our influenza. That's going planned for phase 2. We're a small company. We have a small market cap, bigger than some companies, but smaller than most. And we only have 13 million shares outstanding. We have enough cash to get us through most of next year, but we also have a very supportive board. So, Dr. Frost, who I mentioned was a billionaire, sorry. He's been filing Form 4s lately. I mean, these guys, and recently we just did a private placement with the directors of the company, and I put in on that too. I mean, we all believe in the company. So we run a very clean company. There's no preferred, there's no debt on the company, so it's very clean. So this is the last slide, and what I'll say is this: you've seen this one. Again, these are multi-billion-dollar markets. We have a very strong platform that we developed these, where we have multiple clinical programs right now. We really focus on viruses, and we've always been on viruses. When our company had started off as a whatever, and here we are. Now we've been doing this for a number of years, and this is what we know. It's a very good team, and we have a very cost-efficient operations with no debt. So thank you again for listening to me up here and your interest in Cocrystal. And I'll open up to any questions.
Yeah.
I almost expected one from you after
sure.
the last guy.
So just to recap, right?
Yeah.
So the approach that you guys have is to combat like
viruses.
Antiviral resistance, right? By attacking certain parts of the virus and binding to it that are not likely to mutate, right?
Correct.
And that's a novel approach, something which is not in the market right now. That's something which has not been patented by anybody but you guys, right?
It's not even patented by us.
Okay.
It's proprietary.
Okay. So the thing that I'm a little bit confused about, right? It seems like a big opportunity. Obviously, you guys have a pathway to become very profitable if this is something which gets adopted. There's an avenue for preventative care. However, typically in these sorts of situations, you want to lever up on debt so you don't have to give away equity of this great idea and this great company. Why do you have no debt and offering equity? Why are you giving up equity of something which has so much potential, or at least that your positioning have so much potential?
So the board itself owns a good amount of shares.
Okay.
And debt comes with interest, and you're paying money where you're not making money. We don't have revenue.
Yeah.
So you're going into debt without income. Mm-hmm. We don't believe in that. So I think I can tell you one of the things Dr. Frost has always said: it doesn't matter how much you own or if you get diluted. If you can get the share from $1, you buy it at $1 and you sell it at $10, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Don't worry if you own 2% or 90%. So we strategically raise money when we need to, but we don't really want to go in debt unless without our ability to pay them back with revenue. And if you have debt, no one's going to want to invest in a company to pay the debt. That just doesn't happen. So.
To that, as one in the capital markets, I would add that the cost of debt for a company at this stage, as Jim mentioned, is pretty prohibitive.
Yeah.
So that you would be issuing debt and either paying a high interest rate, which would impact cash flow and lead to more need for capital, or you'd be paying in kind with some kind of upside in stock and some kind of callable or preferred, and you'd be paying in equity anyway on top of the cost of debt. So the reason that companies like Cocrystal issue equity rather than debt is the cost. And if you're investing in equity, you own a piece of the company and all of the upside, rather than, like as you suggested, the company keeps the upside. If you're going to take that risk, you want the upside.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good question. I always taught you have to have a balance of
Yeah.
each, but it doesn't really work in biotech when you don't have any revenue. The cost is not working.
With more than 6,000 small and micro cap companies listed, if you're looking for the next Apple, then Channel Check truly is your tree. It's an investor community where you can access independent Wall Street research, advanced market data, balanced news, corporate videos, and podcasts. You can even register to attend in-person Meet the Management Series luncheons, and to be part of the preeminent annual Small and Microcap Investor Conference, NobleCon. And here's the best news. Since Channel Check is sponsored by the featured companies, premium membership requires no investment. It's absolutely free. So check it out. Log in today. Find out why Channel Check is North America's leading source of research on the companies that just may change the world.